Welcome to the X Shack. On this episode, we'll be talking about House of X, number 5, written by Jonathan Hickman, featuring art by Pepe Larraz, and colored by Marty Garcia. Warning, spoilers are ahead. All right, welcome to the X Shack. Come on in, have a seat, and listen to me discuss this week's X book. As you heard from the top, we're going to be talking about House of X number 5. I'm just really excited for this episode because it's been a real ride up to this point, and there's a few theories that a lot of us have been throwing out there. A lot of fans have been making a lot of speculations, and I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody seems to have their own ideas as to what's going to happen. And a theory that I've been floating around pretty much since issue number 1, the first couple pages of House of X, seems to have been confirmed. So we know that the X team that went to the space station all were killed. We also know that they are definitely teamed with Mr. Sinister. And we find out that there is the group of 5 in this issue, which will be pretty important as we get into this. But we start with a talk between Magneto and Polaris, and they're kind of talking about humanity and what they've learned from humanity. And then we are greeted, I guess, with what we would think is a flashback, but actually shows that this is where the story was really starting from when we jumped into it. We get the scene of the pods opening up and the bodies coming out, and of course we find out that they are indeed the X-Men, and these are the X-Men that died on the mission. We then find out exactly how the group of 5 works. So the group of 5 consists of Goldballs, Proteus, Elixir, Tempest, and Hope. And each one of these mutants plays a very vital role to something that they have established on Krakoa, along with Professor X and, of course, Mr. Sinister. So we find out that Mr. Sinister has a database of all mutants on the planet, and that Goldball, all these years, we thought that he just produced these useless gold orbs, but we find out that when Proteus kind of warps them, they become actual eggs. And then Elixir is able to take the DNA, which they inject into the eggs, and he's able to spark life. And then Tempest is able to actually mature this life into the desired age, making these husks, as they call them, the desired age of the mutant being brought back. Hope fits in by not only enhancing everybody's power, but also kind of giving them focus to achieve this task. Lastly, Professor X steps in with his new Cerebro, and we also find out that Cerebro is not just used to locate mutants, but once mutants are located, it actually has the ability to essentially back up mutant minds. And this is how they are able to bring back mutants. All the team is brought back. They are aware of what happened. They ask about the mission and find out that they succeed. And then we're greeted or shown a almost cultish event going on where everybody praises the resurrection of these mutants. And the group of 5, they're not necessarily celebrities, but they're revered among this mutant population. It's really a pretty good scene because Storm greets everybody, and they have to essentially show everyone that they are the person that has been resurrected. And so she goes through this with everybody. Monet has a really cool, funny scene with this. We then find out that the next day, the world community will be voting whether or not to accept the Krakoan island and accept the nation of mutants. Of course, they do. It seems that Emma Frost may have had something to do with this, of course. There are a few countries that are kind of holding out because they either politically or ideologically don't agree with the idea of this mutination. Wakanda holds out, funny enough, because they don't need the technology being offered by the mutants. We then end the issue with a portal opening, and in steps what we as X-Men fans know as some of the biggest villains that the X-Men have faced. We see people like, of course, Mr. Sinister. We see Emplate, which was great to see a Gen X villain show up there. We get to see Exodus, and we also see Apocalypse. And after greeting Krakoa, Apocalypse says how happy he is that mutants have finally taken the step that he wanted them to and become what they want. But of course, while Magneto and Professor X are happy to hear this, there is one thing they want to hear, and that is that they submit, which Apocalypse says that they do submit to the laws of the land, they agree to live there, and that they do not intend to try to do anything shifty or shady. They will be representatives of this mutination, and we end with a hearty handshake between Professor X and Apocalypse, where he is told he is welcomed home. Fascinating thing about this issue is it kind of answers the question. Well, it kind of helps answer the question as to why Professor X is now walking. My idea is that this is a clone body or a husk that he made for himself. Since we see him in previous issues in the wheelchair, and then of course he's been walking around. We also get a idea that this could possibly still be X. If you've been reading the X books the last couple of years, that would be a real loop to throw us for. But one of the more fascinating things is that there's a protocol system to the cloning or bringing these mutants back. They have to be proven dead. They have to have no way to actually find their life signs. They mentioned that they are going to establish a team that would go out and actually investigate to make sure that somebody is dead before they begin the resurrection process. They're not allowed resurrecting two bodies of the same person, so there can only be one version of this person walking around at a time. Plus, Professor X has to back up the minds of all the mutants. I believe it is either once a week or once a month. He makes a backup to update the brain patterns of everybody. Now, of course, it's great that they have the protocols, but this does mean that this could sow the seeds for a lot of things in the future. I can't see this staying, but this could be something definitely interesting to see where they go forward from this. Yet again, this is a great issue. The last few issues of both House and Powers have been amazing, and I am still aboard. I'm going to thank everybody for joining me yet again. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, I will see you later.